P.S. Malama asked me to come and deliver his speech. Therefore, I stand here to deliver remarks. The guest of honor, Dr. Kenneth Malama, Permanent Secretary, Technical Services, Minister of Health, during the commemoration of the World Diabetes Day at the Dr. Argarwals High Hospital in Lusaka, held today, the 14th of November 2020, under the theme, Nurses Make a Difference for Diabetes. The goal of government of the Republic of Zambia, under the able leadership of His Excellency, Dr. Argarwals, is to have a population which is healthy and productive to steer the socio-economic development of this country. However, this aspiration can only be attained with heightened investment in the key pillars of the healthcare system as articulated in the Vision 2030, the 7th National Development Plan, and the National Health Strategic Plan 2017-2021. A salient feature of the National Health Strategic Plan is the resolve to reduce the incidence and prevalence of non-communicable diseases, or NCDs in short, through two broad approaches. Firstly, by enhancing health promotion strategies such as cancer, cardiovascular disease, and diabetes awareness, and secondly, by strengthening and scaling up the treatment, rehabilitation, care, and support for people suffering from NCDs. Master of Ceremonies, ladies and gentlemen, diabetes mellitus is one of the 4 types of non-communicable diseases and is one of the leading causes of death in developed countries. With an increasing middle class in Zambia and other developing countries, it is also increasing in importance as a major cause of morbidity in our country. Hospital data indicates that NCDs are not only an emerging problem, but one which requires urgent attention. It is against this background that World Diabetes Day is commemorated annually to galvanize public awareness by highlighting, among other things, the risk factors for diabetes, the consequences of late diagnosis of various preventive and control measures, including physical exercise, health diet, and avoidance of tobacco. Ladies and gentlemen, my colleagues, the previous speakers could have spoken about definition of diabetes. What is it? We can never get too familiar with diabetes mellitus. As we communicate with the general public, it is important for us to explain it in terms understandable to all. Diabetes is a metabolic disorder or a problem where food consumed has challenges being broken down for absorption, and as a result, the levels of glucose in the blood remain consistently high. Such a situation damages blood vessels in the eyes, kidneys, heart, brain, and the lower limbs. Patients will suffer from blindness due to diabetic retinopathy, or in other words, damage to the retina of the eyes, that thin layer of tissue that lines the back of the eye on the inside. This may cause vision impairment. Diabetes also causes kidney failure, heart attack, stroke, and lower limb amputation from gangrene. However, early diagnosis and treatment will avoid complications of diabetes and slow down its further progression. Ladies and gentlemen, as we commemorate World Diabetes Day, His Excellency, Dr. Argarwals' government is committed to preventing or delaying the onset of diabetes and its related complications in order to enhance quality of life of the population.
Diabetes Day, and every international day is celebrated just to uplift the humanity. The World Diabetes Day is celebrated to bring awareness about diabetes, especially to all the public. WDD is the largest campaign ever celebrated in all around the world. And what is diabetes? Diabetes is a metabolic disorder, meaning high levels of blood sugar. What does it do? The blood sugar levels will damage the blood vascular system, like the blood vascular system in the brain, heart, limbs, and eyes, especially in eyes. Being an ophthalmologist, I can explain to you that what does it cause. It can cause blindness. Around the world, if you take in African countries, diabetic eyes play 69% for blindness. In Western countries, it must be 38%. It may be due to the lifestyle, food control, and lack of exercise. All these things with ethnic backgrounds and other disorders will bring diabetes. People are not aware of it. Every year we come with certain theme. This year, nurses make the difference, because nurses can reach out every public and educate people what is diabetes, how to get it diagnosed, early treatment, and how to avoid complications or slow down the complications. All these things will benefit patients. So this year theme is nurses and diabetes. We, Dr. Argarwals Eye Hospital, every year celebrate WDD in our hospital with our partners. This year, we are partnered with MOH, our director, Honorable Dr. Alex Makupe, and Lions Club President, and Honorable Mr. Kapilande MP, and another Lions President, Mr. Kandeke, and Diabetic Association President, Mr. Mubinga, Zambia Ophthalmic Association President, Dr. Kasangole, and Rotarians, and many other dignitaries in the dais and in front of me. And with all of them, we are celebrating this WDD. I welcome all of you, and I welcome our partners, and it's a great pleasure in welcoming one and all. Thank you.
And 14th November particularly marks the height of the activities of the diabetes commemoration. 14th November was chosen because it happens to be the birth date of Dr. Frederick Banting, the scientist who discovered insulin way back in 1921. As a matter of fact, next year we shall be celebrating 100 years of the discovery of insulin, a very life-saving drug to diabetic patients. Diabetes, just of honor, is a disease which we can no longer ignore as a world. Statistics tell us that globally, last year, 2019, we recorded about 463 million people with diabetes mellitus. And this number is set to increase to somewhere around 578 million people by the year 2030. Those are very staggering figures, guest of honor. Back home, here at home, we've seen also a trend of increase in the prevalence of diabetes. The STEP survey conducted in 2009 revealed that about 3% of population had diabetes mellitus. A few lines on this subject. What is diabetes? Diabetes, as we've been told already, is a metabolic disease characterized by increased blood sugar.
On behalf of the Lions present here, it is with great honor to be part of the commemoration of the World's Diabetes Day, whose theme is Messes make the difference for diabetes. Sorry about that. This year's commemoration, however, is being conducted in the midst of one of the deadliest pandemics the world has ever faced, COVID-19. And we have been told that diabetes is one of the underlying conditions that make one more vulnerable to COVID-19. In fighting this pandemic, our foot soldiers, the nurses, have been in the forefront.
Although the nurses account for 59% of healthcare professionals, the global shortage of nurses remains real, with much concentration in low to middle income countries. To avert this, the number of nurses trained and employed needs to grow annually by 8% in order to close this gap by 2030. Guest of honor, today's event further draws attention to one of the top 10 leading causes of preventable blindness in the world. Diabetes mellitus is a global epidemic with significant morbidity affecting various organs in the body, the brain, the kidneys, the heart, the ears, the eyes inclusive. With particular to the eyes, it causes dry eye syndrome, cataracts, glaucoma, refractive errors, and damage to the retina, which subsequently leads to blindness. Worldwide, it is estimated that 463 million individuals are currently living with diabetes, and by 2030, it is predicted that 578 million individuals will have diabetes. 1 in 10 people living with diabetes, 1 in 10 people is living with diabetes, and of these, 1 in 3 has diabetic retinopathy. As I mentioned earlier, diabetic retinopathy is one of the leading causes of vision loss among the working adult population. And it is said the longer one has diabetes mellitus, the higher the incidence of developing retinopathy. Globally, 17 million people have proliferative diabetic retinopathy. This is what leads to blindness. And if left untreated, half will go blind in 5 years. Notwithstanding this burden, with approximate timed treatment, up to 98% of blindness due to diabetes can be prevented. The prevalence of diabetes in Zambia, as of this year, according to the International Federation of Diabetes, is 3.5%, which last year stood at 4.2%. Guest of honor, although we've not done a countrywide survey to look at the prevalence of diabetes in the eyes, the national eye health coverage has increased from 32% in 2011 to 82% in 2019. A hospital-based survey, which was done at the UTH between 2016 and 2019, found the prevalence of diabetic retinopathy to be 60%, and of this, 41% was sight-threatening diabetic retinopathy. Whilst in 2018, a population-based study conducted on the Copper Belt found the prevalence of diabetic retinopathy to be 52%, and of this, 36% was sight-threatening. As Zambia Protea Society, we have partnered with cooperating partners and the Ministry of Health in order to bring awareness of this condition through a number of activities done through public awareness events like the one that we are gathered here to commemorate today. And in line with government's emphasis on prevention of non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, as Zambia Protea Society, we reiterate the message to eliminate diabetic retinopathy-related blindness through regular body exercise, having a nutritious and well-rounded diet, regular eye screening for persons with diabetes. This should always include a dilated fundus examination, not just prescribing spectacles. Optimal control of blood glucose, blood pressure, and blood lipids. Lastly, timely treatment with laser photocoagulation of the retina, provision of intraocular injections, or retina surgery is the core. In conclusion, while we may not be able to fully control the onset of diabetes or its complications, preventative steps can be taken to minimize the risk.
I have been living with this condition for the past 10 years. Diabetes is a common disease and one that most people know about, but perhaps not everyone knows how difficult it can be to manage. We do, of course, know how important access to treatment is for people living with chronic disease like diabetes. We also know the valuable and essential work that carers do, be it family members, friends, and health workers do to help support those living with diabetes. This is absolutely valuable work, and I thank all those carers for everything they do. A healthy diet, regular physical activity, maintaining a normal body weight, and avoid tobacco use are some of the ways to prevent and delay the onset of type 2 diabetes. diabetes can be treated and its consequences avoided or delayed with diet, physical activities, medication, regular screening, and treatment for complications. However, all that I have mentioned require concerted efforts by all stakeholders. I therefore urge our government through Ministry of Health to timely help us with enough stocks of medicines and requirements needed to support our health lifestyle.
The guest of honor allow me to encourage all diabetic patients to abide to prescriptions and lifestyles that are encouraged by various categories of health practitioners. This is important because it will sustain our lives and it will make us even more productive. I therefore challenge the Diabetic Association of Zambia that let this day be the starting point to interact extensively with the nursing profession and its institutions like the General Nursing Council of Zambia, Zambia Union of Nurses Organization, and the others that have an influence on the care that is being provided to diabetic patients. As I end, I come to a realization that I'm not delivering a speech, but just a remark. But if it has turned out to be a speech, forgive me, honorable. With these words, once again, I thank you for your attention, and I wish each one of us a fruitful World Diabetes Day.